Hi guys, it's Casey here at Colonial Gardens in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. I am out with what we've been calling our Whimsical Garden this year, which is partially designed by one of our landscape designers, Zach, with the annuals thrown in by one of our plant care team members, Ashley. So you're seeing lots of color right now. There's a beautiful salvia, gomphrena, zinnias in front of me, but today I wanted to talk about this plant next to me. This is Lesser Calamint, or Calamintha nepida. It is a member of the mint family and a relative of catmint, which is an extremely common, very hardy variety of perennial here in Pennsylvania. But the calamint is kind of its lesser known cousin, and I really want to highlight it because it is just an underrated, fantastic performer in the garden. This is a plant that is native to the Mediterranean, so it's not native around here, but it is very hardy, so that means it's going to come back in our hot summers or cold winters that we experience here in southeastern PA. Really, the stunning thing about this plant is the longevity of its blooms. Lindsay, if you want to zoom in on just a little bit, sometimes from a distance it doesn't read, but you can see it is covered in tiny little white blooms and dozens of bumblebees. And it has been blooming like this for probably 4 or 5 weeks at this point. It is an extremely long bloomer, and this whole time pollinators have been coating it. It's kind of understated in the landscape. It provides this cloud-like texture amongst all the other flowers that, while it doesn't necessarily burst forward the same way that its neighboring Black-Eyed Susan does, or some of these annuals, this really frothy, misty sort of look is just a really nice levity to the garden. And with this being our whimsical kind of garden, it really provides a different texture from everything else. It has an aromatic foliage, so if you were to crush it, you would be able to smell it, and that's something that the deer and rabbits really don't like. So it's very pest resistant. It's done amazing here in the garden, even with all of our pests that we experience over the course of the year. And it is a slow spreading, mat forming perennial. So at this point, it is probably about 3 feet wide in all directions. It's about a 3-year-old plant, and it will slowly continue to creep wide, but it won't spread aggressively like its cousin, the true mint plants, where you really have to weed them. This is something that's very easily controlled, but it is taking up space, and at this point is acting like a small shrub within this space. Again, extremely long blooming. This one starts blooming around July. Prior to that, you're just going to get some foliage. It's not really making a big statement. But once July hits with all of these tiny little white flowers, you're really getting a full show. And again, most importantly to us, the pollinators are really in love with it. Here, late day, early September. Last year we saw this go all the way through the end of September in through October, so an extremely long blooming perennial compared to lots of other ones. Another thing I really like it is a lot of the catmint varieties, again, a perennial favorite, I think sometimes they're bred a little bit to be so compact that they kind of look stubby. And this plant is a lot airier. It's a lot more loose in its foliage. So it just gives a completely different dimension to the garden. So again, this is Calamint, Lesser Calamint, Calamintha nepida. It is a hardy perennial here in Pennsylvania, originally from the Mediterranean, and you should plant it in your garden if you want something that's hardy, easy to maintain, pest resistant, that pollinators love, and it's going to give you a really long burst of these cloud-like flowers. So you can find it in our perennial gardens in our Proven Landscape Performers section. And next time you visit Colonial Gardens, thanks for watching.